Good morning. That's a short one. We're going to keep it short today. This morning, we got lots going on. We got war in Iran, lots of war in Iran, and that's probably not slowing down anytime soon. It looks like this morning we're still hitting them hard. We'll see, though. There could be something right before the bell where we talk about some kind of peace deal and how Iran is working really hard to negotiate. It's always possible. We've got CoinMarketCap sitting on the edge, kind of middle of fear this morning. I think that will probably be at the low end of fear based upon what we're seeing in pre-market. The KOSPI got obliterated, a total of 15%, up to down amount overnight, and sitting at key levels. We'll look at that in a little bit, though. On the stock side of things, we have neutral, but again, we're probably dipping into fear, and that's been something that's been happening for a long time. Really, since November, extreme fear didn't get too high, didn't get too irrationally exuberant. We really just barely made it out of neutral back in the earlier part of this year. And then we got a little more excited in April and maintained the edge of greed, but really no new euphoria in sight, whether it be stock market or whether it be crypto. For the economic indicator side of things, we don't have really anything to speak of. Tomorrow's the big day. ADP employment, core inflation, CPI, optimism index, all the Feds speaking. Tomorrow should be a big one. Net long-term tick flows, foreign bond investment, like a lot of good data points coming tomorrow to look at, but really nothing today. Also, I just want to be clear. People talk about rate hikes and how they think rate hikes are coming. Nothing is coming in July. We have a 32% chance of a rate hike in July, heading here in about 2 weeks, on July 29th. Now, in September, September 16th, which I would argue is a long way off, July, August, September, 2 months away from this date, that is when we have the potential, right now, a higher percentage chance, two out of 2/3 chance of having this, or a 2-to-1, I should probably say, that's probably a better way of saying it, of getting a rate hike or two. I do think the data will show very different things by that time, and we'll see that come true. I also wanted to post show this Truflation currently sitting at 1.93%. My argument here is that this is a downward trend. It's not going to get higher. Everything that we're seeing that's happening right now, concerns about Japan, which I'm not really worried about, but concerns about that, concerns about slowdowns because of what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz. These aren't going to be really inflationary things. People are actually slowing down purchases to account for what's happening with this war. So I'm not worried about that either. I actually think that we're setting up pretty good for a pop later, and I'm going to stick to that for now. All right. Anyway, let's go over here. We'll just start at the beginning of the feed. I hope everybody's having a good day. Let me check out chat. Watched Visser yesterday. He's back to being bullish on MU, memory, and overall again. Yeah, I know, right? Which is probably like the right time to do it, especially this week. Let me show you the KOSPI real quick. We'll look real fast at some of the memory stock companies and their tickers. We talked last week about how we either get a bounce or we don't, and it looks like we don't. And I've been saying, at least with memory, that we could get another 15% drop. I still think we're there. I still think, even with what we've dropped this morning, I still think there's potential of dropping another 15% from here. We'll look at those in a second. The KOSPI, you can see how it was a rising, broadening wedge, right? And then it broke down out of that. And so this could be a decent place to stop. It just depends on how the market does. We have earnings starting this week. Not a lot of big companies, but we do have earnings starting this week, really at the end of the week. Like there you can see Planet Labs, DocuSign, and a bunch of others. That's when we start to get into some. Well, I guess AVGO is on Wednesday, so we'll start to see some of that. And I think earnings are going to still be hit it out of the park. And so with that, I could see us doing really well and starting to pick up again. So we could stop here. It's at a first fib. I think the next level, though, is even more likely at around the 0.5. I don't think we get to the 0.618. I mean, that to me is probably too far of a drop for what we're looking at. Structurally, it wouldn't make a lot of sense unless we're wiping out all the leverage that exists in the Korean index, which wouldn't be a horrible thing. Wiping out leverage is a positive. We're already down like 30%. Could we get down to the 46% range? Maybe. I doubt it, though. I think at the very least, we'd probably touch the 50 moving average at 5,300. But let's just look at what that would look like. So this would be a decent drop still on the KOSPI. 21% on that, 25%, I think, roughly, if we get down to the .618. I'm not worried about it, though. I'm here for the long haul. I might even put another 20K or something into these today if we continue to drop. And let's look at the other ticker symbols real quick. We'll look at MU. And so, again, this is from last week. I just said, hey, we could still drop here. We have just this little gap down to like the 780 range. I could see us trying to close that. We're at 933 this morning. Again, that's about 15%, and then it's closed. I do not care about this. I'm actually excited about this. If I draw this, so if we draw this all the way down and say that like it's catastrophic, we drop 20%, we get down to 675. That means to get to what I believe the price target's going to be for this year, the 2300 level, when I look at a fib-based trend extension, that's 244% upside. So I will keep adding into this. Sold out of the last of my SoFi last week. Still sitting on cash. Again, that's what I'll use to buy DRAM. Not that I don't like SoFi. I actually like the banking sector a lot. I think SoFi looks pretty good. We can look at that in a second. But if I look over here at DRAM, let's just bring this up. And again, I think the semiconductor space is probably rich. We did have earnings coming out of Taiwan Semiconductor. I want to say it was 63%. I think that was quarter over quarter data for profits, but we'll look at that in a second and confirm and make sure I'm not giving you a bullshit number. Real quickly, though, on DRAM, you can see peak volumes, really strong volumes over here at around 54. Again, this closes a gap, too, on this. It's about a 15% drop from where we're sitting this morning. I don't know. It might be less than that now. No, it's way less. Jeez. So we're already down because we're down 8.99 on DRAM this morning. So to close that gap is only not even 5% of a drop. So that's kind of nice. I didn't realize that. I thought it was going to be lower. SanDisk just got price targets of like 3,100, which is roughly 2x where it is right now. It's only down about 5.66. Let's see what the SOX, the Semiconductor Index, is up to this morning real quickly here. And if you guys have any questions, throw them out in chat. Feel free to talk it up. Any news you want to go over. We'll be looking at some posts here in a second. So the SOX, again, the SOX hasn't really done much. I feel like this can go lower. I really do. I feel like this is almost like a little shouldery, heady, and shouldery again, and it could drop more. But again, this is the Semiconductor Index. It's not, and I don't think NVIDIA is the one that should be dropping. I think it's some of these others like, Intel and some of these that just have really insane forward PEs. If anything drops, I think it's going to be them. I'm not really worried about the rest. All right, let's go down. Let's look at posts. Again, if you guys have any questions at all, throw them out. If you guys could like this too and get some additional people here, that's always appreciated. So this post from Ash Crypto, sometimes helpful, sometimes not. Why is everything dumping? Over 1.5 trillion wiped out in 10 hours. Bitcoin down 2.47, gold down 1.62, silver down 3.4, KOSPI down 9%, Nikkei down, SSE composite. So again, we got China, we got Taiwan, we got them all rolling over. Actually, China ended up for the Hang Seng up 0.16, so they still had a little bit of a bounce. It looks like, I don't know, a decent amount of that is probably BABA, and it looks like BABA could actually start going up. As much as I hate Chinese stocks, it looks very possible. Real quickly, though, before I get to that thought, it says some of these key reasons. Fresh U.S. tax against Iran, which have increased the risk of higher oil prices and inflation. Oil is actually at 73.83 this morning. So again, despite all the fears this weekend, it's really not doing much. And it's at an indecision point. I have told you for a while, I actually think oil can go up here all the way up to $83 before rolling over again. I'm going to stick to that. I think that's still possible. So it wouldn't surprise me at all to see this go a little bit higher, but I wouldn't get caught up in that because I don't think that's going to treat you very well. Real quickly, though, Ethereum and Bitcoin, I want to talk about this. We didn't actually have a breakout. So as you can see here, we got up to what was that like secondary support level. And let me just do this. I'll put it to the weekly. Might be a little easier to see. So you can see that secondary support level. We got up to it, but we didn't break out of this. So there might have been somebody posting about how Ethereum has broke out. Did not really. It hasn't broken out. Now, could it break out over between like now and, I don't know, the end of the month? I think that's probably pretty likely. If it's not the end of the month, I think it's in August. I don't think we stay down here for long. I think there's a lot of positive narrative stuff. Hyper liquid with Ethereum. Ethereum, or I should say Robinhood, just passed Hyperliquid with their stablecoin volumes. And when you have big companies like that, promoting a network, you're going to do well. When you got the Tom Lees and the Vlad Tenevs, you're going to do well. Skill said, where do you see Bitcoin price being at end of the year? That's so hard. It could be end of the year. It could be next year. I think it's going to be pretty easy. And I'll just pull it up real quick here because I don't even know if I have it. There we go. I think it's going to be pretty easy to get back to the all-time high and above. This probably isn't the best chart for this, but the range, and here I could just draw it real quick. I think the cap kind of short term until we get like a substantial breakout, and this is the weekly time frame. I'm just going to use that for now. And I'm kind of drawing what like would be the weakest of the upticks, right? So you can see all the resistance throughout here. I would say this. I would say that by the end of next year, there's the potential of getting up between like 150, 160, hitting this resistance line, and then potentially rejecting off of it. Now, that's not bad. That's probably like 125% or something like that, an upside. So I'd say that's pretty optimistic and like a pretty good number to see. If we get 125%, we're probably getting 300 off of Ethereum, and the Bitcoin treasury companies are doing really well. History guy scalps Lindsey Graham's death. Some think suspicious, a bit unsettling for the markets. Yeah, I don't think the markets care about that. I do think Lindsey Graham was a lot better of a person than the Jew haters make him out to be. Lindsey was only worth he's worth less than me. He's only like $1.5 million after all these years in politics. And then you got Rokanas that are worth, over 300 million. And he went from, I think his personal wealth from like 25 to a quarter of $1 billion or something like that. In the time that he's been in office. So if anybody's filling pockets, I'd say it's Rokana. It's not Lindsey Graham. And Lindsey Graham was a very positive force. They called him Uncle Lindsey in Iran because he was one of the people that was a huge advocate, not just for Israel, but for the Iranian people. So I think it's sad that he's gone. I don't know if he was killed. We'll let time figure that out. TT, Jesse, do you like SK Hynix as a buy at this support level? Yes, I'll probably be buying it. I'm actually probably going to buy DRAM or MU. I'm not sure which. But if they're down like double digits today, I'm probably going to pick some more up. I think volatility will pick up after the summer, but July will be positive for Bitcoin. Possible. We'll see. I don't know which way it's taken. I don't really care. I do know this is a consolidation. Like this is what I want to see. Now it's a bummer that we had to get here and that we've been riding this train since like July of 2025, right? Pretty depressed. You can see why people are really depressed about Bitcoin and have been. Even if you just go back here to December of 2024, Bitcoin was at 109,000. We only made it to 126. So that's a long time. More than a year and a half of suffering, like a year and 8 months of just getting browbeat. And not going any higher, and then having treasuries get wiped out, and then having Ethereum get wiped out, and BMNR getting wiped out, and everything just getting kind of crushed. I get why everybody wants to see Bitcoin down into the 40,000s because they think for some reason that it has to go down there, and they don't look and see that the shock absorbers, all the Bitcoin treasury companies and things like BMNR for Ethereum have taken all of the pain. They don't seem to want to look at that, and they've got a predefined time frame of it's got to go up in October. And I'm not saying it can't. I'm just saying that trends like that are usually suspiciously wrong and do break over time. There's no holy grail that says that October has to be the date that Bitcoin bottoms. Albeit it could. I would argue that being at, and this is like pretty much every cycle, being at the area where the last cycle peaked. Again, just to talk about max pain here, we are at the same level. We're actually lower than the level that we were at in what time frame here? Sorry, my monitor is cutting it a little bit. April of 2021. That's quite a few years, over 5 years. It's a long time. So we're like 62, 63 months. Bitcoin has done nothing. So when you think about pain, guys, just remember that's where it's coming from, okay? On the Bitcoin and crypto side, the cryptos are worse. The shit coins, absolutely fucked. All the people involved in those have just been butchered. But just remember this. The chance of us being in a really good buy zone when we're sitting at levels we've been at, in over 60 months is a good thing. It's a good thing. This is the time to buy. I know people want 40. There's always people that want the absolute bottom. They want to be the people that bought the bottom. But the people that buy the bottoms are usually the ones that have tons of money and that just buy the whole way down. And here's the thing. They have so much more money than you, most likely, that they'll get the bottom, and they'll get it quick. Like a couple of orders will get the bottom. And then everybody else will be left chasing. And that's the way these markets work. It's the same at the top. Nobody sells the top perfectly. Nobody does. Nobody does. Ben Cohen doesn't do that. He might get lucky a few times. All right, Danny. Tom Lee just said 100K Bitcoin and 5K ETH by end of the year. I think that's a really low estimate. I think that's, and again, but if that's the case, I still think we're getting to 160 by early next year. So I just think you got to have a long time horizon and you're good. Do you think we get to $2,000 Bitcoin? Central. Yep. Scaling in instead of buying the bottom. Yes, that's the way to do it. It's always the way to do it. Do you not like the American ticker? I don't dislike it. I just don't own it. And I don't know that I care to own it. I still like DRAM. I think DRAM is a nice container. I like having a little bit of exposure to all of it in the memory side and storage side. But it's not that I don't like it. I think it's getting hit hard. I haven't looked at it today. Let me pull it up real quick here. I don't even think I have one made. So let me just do this. SK, what's the ticker again? SKHY. Let me just look. All right. SKHY. We'll get this one locked and loaded. No data here. Did it actually open, or do I have to go today? American Depository Shares. Does it not have the ticker live? What does it say here? Next earnings report in 9 days. That's not helpful. All right, I'll just save this, and we'll see if it ever comes back with anything. But yeah, so I think the BOJ, and the other thing here is BOJ possible yen intervention, which could force global asset selling. I'm not worried about that as much. Not that it can't have some downward pressure over the short term. SKHYV is the IPO one. Oh, okay, that makes more sense. Thank you. Bond yield spike, which will make borrowing harder and is bad for companies and individuals. So let's look at the bond yield spike. Let's see here real quick. Let's see, we got the 30. We got the 30. Let's look at the 30. We are seeing a spike, but I will argue, and again, we haven't closed the month here yet. Every time we've gotten a bump above this line, it fails. And not that it can't go up. Things can happen. This could still end up being a rising, triangle. It totally could. It could be an ascending triangle. But when you spend as much time as this in the lower range, and you have bearish divergence that goes back into 2022, history tells me that this is more likely to roll over than to go up. So I'm going to stick with that. And again, I just think a lot of what we're seeing from a macro standpoint, we can talk about that, is going to crush us. Now here, this actually looks like more of a breakout on the 10-year, but we'll see what happens. Again, I kind of have this line drawn over here where, yeah, we could try and get higher. And maybe this would be a good rejection point. You got lower highs, right? It would be nice to stay under this if you want bond yields to come down. I wouldn't want to get above 4.67 or something like that. I would want to drop down further. And that way we get the higher low structure because we have tested this a bunch of times. And it's a rising broadening wedge with bearish divergence going back to early 2022. So again, same concept. Bonds from a technical level, they want to roll over. And I think from a fundamental level, that's what we're going to get. It says today at 8:40 Eastern. That's going to be 7:40 our time. El Harjarian, whatever his name is, he's going to be on. And I really kind of want to listen to what he's talking about because he seems pretty right as far as what he thinks Kevin Warsh is going to be doing in the future. So I do want to see that. We'll hop over. We'll put in the other indicator here again and see if we can pull up this other one. Oh, I don't even know where I put it. All right, fuck that. Skip it. Yeah, so I'll probably buy some DRAM this morning, maybe like 20K, and then see what happens from there. It's nice to see other stuff rolling over, though. Let's see how gold's doing. I haven't looked at the metals much, so let's just check it out. and we'll get in more to data points. Oh, so it's perfectly under the fib-based trend extension. I don't know why I have two of these here, but I do. Let me see if I can get rid of one of them. Yeah, we'll delete that. They're real close to each other. That's better. All right, so you can see here that we're underneath the trend-based fib extension on gold, and we have nothing but net going all the way down to about 3,600. Boy, it would be painful. I think we could consolidate here. It's already down a lot, 27%, but maybe we get a bigger drop here to the 3,600 range. That would be max pain for gold bugs. And let me just make sure. I'm going to adjust this just a hair because it looks like it's a little low. I want to make sure that it's perfect. And then check down here too. Oops, sorry. Just, that's a little high. All right, there we go. We'll lock that bitch in. Double check our marks. Yeah, no, it's still cleanly underneath. So I think this could actually go lower. I think gold could go lower. Let's look at silver and see what we have on the silver front, shall we? Let's see, that's copper. Copper's actually doing all right. Silver, let's see what silver looks like. What's the damage on the silver? Not super great. Above peak volumes, but kind of looking like it wants to. It's a rising broadening wedge. It looks like it wants to roll over more. I would think we could at least get down here to like the 54 level. Boy, that's got to be painful for people holding silver. They're already down 50%, so like they're down Bitcoin levels. Remember this? This is the one, guys, that everybody at the beginning of the year was telling you, buy the dip, guys. Silver's going to $300, and you can buy the dip now and get another 200%, and it certainly didn't do that because the fundamentals didn't mean it. TLT is probably getting hit again today. There's not much life in it. We really need to get past the people worrying about the government printing too much money. I don't know when that happens. I thought it was optimistically going to happen sooner, but we're still just consolidating. Eventually, we're going to start beating up against tier like 86, 87 level on TLT, and then it's going to go higher. I don't know. I don't plan with my old options contracts that I was using as a hedge. I don't plan for them to make any money. If they do, great. I don't even know if I have 2028s in that, but maybe I'll add some later. But it's just right now. Right now, I have no idea. Bonds can be so long. This is why when I did my bond play, which is going to be looks like a complete failure. When I did this, I gave it 2 years because you got to. Bonds are so normally slow acting. You can see even over here from 2018 all the way up here to 2020. I mean, you're talking almost 2 years worth of data just to be able to make this move going to 178 from 112. And that was a dramatic one. Now, I do think these are going to happen again. Look at all these moves, guys. But we've got some structural issues here with everybody worried about all the bond markets of the entirety of the world. We need to get past that first. I don't know when that happens. All this spending for CapEx for these semiconductor companies and stuff, it's creating negative narratives too, where people are like, oh yeah, sure, they're making all this money, but is it really going to matter, or is the end of the world happening again? And I think everybody loves to talk about the end of the world. I'm going to get Bitcoin off the bottom of the screen. So I don't know when this gets better. If Micron gets to 700s, I'm backing. Oh, dude, me too. I will buy as much as I can, and I'll just sit on it because I think it's going to be a really easy way to make money in the not too distant future. SoFi looking good today. Again, I think banks could do all right. We'll look at sector breakdown here in a second. And I'm sold out of it. I got no incentive to tell you that this is doing good or going to continue to do good, but I think it's going to continue to do good. It was down. What is it, 54% or something? I got to double check, make sure that looks perfectly lined up. I think it does. So anyway, I think right now we're looking at a pretty easy 77% for the rest of the year on SoFi, and maybe even higher. Again, it could get up to 43 or something. You never know. The valuation isn't too bad, and I think, again, people are going to be excited about banks, especially smaller ones like this, tech-savvy ones. Let's see what else we got here. Any other questions? Good morning. Kinda a corrupt, insincere dude. Totally corrupt and insincere. He won't give away any of his money, but he wants you to be taxed to oblivion while his shit sits in trusts that people can't get access to. Awesome. All right, let's keep going. If you guys have any other questions, throw them out. We'll get back into the news stuff here. Yemeni government. So in regard to Iran, they've been using the Yemen's or Yemeni airspace, and the government says they've exhausted all diplomatic means to persuade Iran and the Houthis to reconsider their actions and stop violating their airspace. We have repeatedly urged both parties to cease these violations. Our patience has now run out. We will respond appropriately to these infringements. We hold Iran fully responsible, both legally and morally, for any violation of airspace. So the Yemenis want to blow up Iran's rockets now, too. The entirety of the Middle East has turned against them. And I think that's good. Are you still in any options? Yeah, I'm in options for SMCI that have until the end of this year. I'm in options for TLT that have, I believe, until the end of this year. I don't think I own any 2028s. And then I've got ARCG, which 2/3 of them end January 2027. The other 1/3 in January of 2028. And they've done really well recently. Those are the only option contracts I'm in. I haven't gotten into options in 9 months. I might do that in the future, but I've tried to be very cautious, and so far I think that's been a good path to go down. Outside of, I wish I would have been in the memory and storage place earlier. I feel dumb that I wasn't, because this is an area where I should have been. It's something I know pretty well. Anyway, that's why we follow people like Trade Whisperer now, because we're going to be clued in on that sector and know the truth. And we'll talk about some of that in a second. Taiwan Semiconductor, TSM, just reported June sales of $13.8 billion, up 67. Oh, I'm sorry, not quarter, year over year. Big difference. So roughly 68% year over year. TSMC bought in a total of $39.63 billion in revenue, or brought in Q2, up 36% year over year. So quarter over quarter was 36%. That's an awesome fucking number, by the way. It's really great. And so I said, hey, maybe another 15% lower. Again, DRAM's already got like 5% to close that other gap. Could it go down further than that? Maybe. But I think it's pretty cheap. Let me just go back over here. There's ETH, again, looking for that. And if we get above here, guys, if we break out, if we get above like 1850 in ETH and start going higher, it's on like Donkey Kong. And Solana too. I mean, I don't want to be prejudiced here. Let's look at Solana. I think Solana is still very much in a consolidation pattern too. I mean, this has been really good support all the way through here, right? And it looks like it's testing hard at this peak volume area around 85. If it can get above 85 and turn that into support, or just grind here a little bit for like an inverse head and shoulders, I think you're getting a measured move here, probably into the 180s or something. So that all these look good, I think. And here's the thing, I've talked about this before. Shitcoins bottom before Bitcoin in bear market cycles. They just do. Everybody starts making money on the shitcoins, and then it's like, oh, hey, wow, people are making money on shitcoins again. I should buy some shitcoins, or I should get Bitcoin because I realized that shitcoins pump first, and I want to be ahead of that pump, and while still being conservative. So I think that kind of thing is still set to happen. I very much believe that. All right, let's real quickly. Oh, there we are. What was the ticker again? The IPO one. SKHY, and somebody said something about the IPO. SKYV. YV, is that right? Aha. No, I got no data. So is today the first day of the? I don't even know what that one. I didn't get involved. Did you sell SoFi? Yes, I did. I sold all of it. I still think it's going up, and I think you can make 70+%, 70 to 120% this year. And we just looked at that chart. So if you go back a little bit, you'll see it. Danny V, hit the 300 plus audience. Yeah, if you could do that, that'd be great. All right, I'm going to kill this one for now. I do want to go over here, though, and look at memory. Let's see, that's gold. Where did I put memory, damn it? That's what happens when you have too many tickers. All right, so Micron, again, Micron to close the gap, down about 15%. That would put us for a total of what? That would be a drop for Micron of 37%, almost 40%. That is a lot. That gets us all the way down to the 766 level. Maybe even we get to the 734 level before wicking up. You can see a lot of buy pressure that sat here previously in May. I don't know. I don't think we're going down that low, but again, it depends on the leverage, right? Depends on the leverage. If those South Koreans, my friend Tony is no different. Tony knows this. Koreans have a history of being degens. The crypto world knows this all too well in previous cycles, okay? There's something called the kimchi premium for a fucking reason. These guys, they can gamble, okay? It's kind of an Asian thing, not to be racist, but I think there's a decent amount of that in China too. And I don't know about other areas, but China, Korea, I know gambling is pretty powerful, and if you're a Asian of some other descent, and you know that about your country, throw it out. But yeah, so I could see us dropping further, and I could see needing to liquidate more. Always possible, but as I showed here with DRAM, I think we start hitting support strongly. I mean, we're in the trough right now, so if we're going lower, it gets really strong at 54, which isn't much lower than 57. We're right here right now, right? So 54, and then we have a decent amount of support all the way down to the .618, because the .618, I mean, if we do something like that, guys, it's going to start to look more like this, right? It's going to look more like this, and then all of a sudden it starts to look like, a falling, tightening wedge that's found support. So I could see this being a thing. So just remember, like, could we go further? Yes, we could go further, but maybe in DRAM it's 5 to 10%. I don't think it's a lot more. So it's down 9.4% this morning. I'm probably going to buy today. I'm probably going to get at least 20K, I would imagine, in DRAM, and that should get me well over 500,000 now, and which is nice. I'm looking forward to that. So again, I think, and how far would this be if it dropped this far? If it dropped all the way down to something like that, where it started looking like a broadening or a tightening wedge to the downside, 37%. So as you can see here, MU, I think front loaded a lot of the damage, because it's already, well, let's see here, closing the gap. That brings us to 37. Where we're at right now is another 15% of a drop there. But for DRAM, I should say, DRAM is already kind of ate it. I think, let me just do the math here. Yeah, so it's only 10%. So I think you gotta have less downside risk with DRAM, and I think it's going to end up doing pretty good. I've got more MU than I have DRAM, so I'll probably add the DRAM since it's down 10% on the morning. And what are we seeing for MU? Only 5. Can you look at the Korean ticker for... Oh, is that the Korean ticker? Is that it? Okay, I'll look it up. Thank you. Somebody got us the right ticker. I appreciate you guys. I don't always know these things, so it is nice to get. All right, let me see here. What is it? I'm just going to put SK. All right, I'm going to use this one and then put it up here. And then what is it? 000660. Thank you. This is the Korean side. Okay, that's where I get my ticker information. There you go. Thank you, sir. So yeah, this one went down 15%. Pretty big drop. Looks like a head and shoulders now too. Not a good look. You'd want to see that bounce around pretty quick. It's already down 38%. So this one is beating the drop on what we're expecting here on our side. And again, this is one ticker, so you have the risk of one ticker. Whereas DRAM is full of all of these things, and probably not down nearly as much. I don't know what Samsung's down, but as you've seen with Micron, it's not down this much. Now, could it be today? Sure. There's got to be some liquidation going on here, and I don't know if the pain's over. And this is probably a cleaner chart to look at, so let's just look at something here. For drawings, I'm just going to draw in a couple of boxes where I see some pretty big gaps. This is a huge one. So maybe I'll have to make this all purple. Let me see here. Fill, purple, fill, boom. Okay. So that's a pretty big drop. That's a pretty 1,400 or something. God, I think it still goes down. Let's just draw it to there. Gosh, that seems like it could happen. Doesn't this seem like it should happen? And it would get us to that point. But this could happen in their time, and it could already be bouncing in ours. So again, this could happen crazy quick. My guess is it does, because there is a super clear breakdown from the 50 moving average. So I'm having to guess that this thing ends up filling. Now, do I think that it's got to go to 1,000? No, I think that would be retarded. It could do that for a minute, though. And if it's going to happen, it's going to happen in the Korean market. So they carry more risk than we do. But I'll draw it out nonetheless. Oh, no, I don't want that. This is so cool. The fact that they tell you what all this stuff means, I really wish that would have existed back in the day when I was doing this. What am I looking for? A box? Nope. Where'd my box go? Why am I tripping here? Oh, there's my box. All right. So again, right here is one, and then another one right down here. I just don't see this happening. Could in their market though. Maybe in their market it does. If this happens in their market, man, like you don't have to worry about it. The drop is over. You at least get a reactionary bounce off of that can go all the way up to like fucking 2,300. So we'll see. We don't want the drop, I think, to be too deep. The max I would want to see is right over here around 1454. Otherwise, if it dropped all the way down to here, it could be a while before we get like a really good recovery because that's just wiping out so much capital. But again, the fundamentals are ridiculously good. So I don't know, but this would be a total drop of 51 fucking percent, closing a huge gap. I don't know. I could see that happening. Now, could I see us going down a total of 64 or almost 2/3 losses? Without a crazy scam wick or something, I just don't see that happening. That's another 50% from where we're at. I don't see that happening. I really, really don't. At some point, degens have to run out of money, you'd think. Well, and it's not just a matter of running out of money. It's it's being margin called. It's all that stuff, right? Like it's the drop that will destroy them, and make it. You get margin called and you lose all your money, and yes, then you will not have any money to buy the dip. And I think they don't have to be completely wiped out though. DRV, hey Jesse, do you think TLT options for 100 in January 2027 can expire out of the money? What's your thought on TLT going into I don't know. It's such a short period of time. If you asked me for January of 2028, I would say it's going to hit that. I'd feel pretty confident with that. And if I ended up buying anything, it would probably be those. I wouldn't be telling people to buy my bags in January because I just don't know that they can hit it. So I personally don't know if I see that happening. Again, people are going to have to get really optimistic. Okay? They're going to have to get really optimistic and believe that there's still growth in the government and that the government's debt is sustainable. And I don't know right now, it looks like we're heading into still a slowing of growth with a lot of good stuff happening behind the scenes that's going to rocket us higher. But people are talking about raising rates. That's not going to help TLT at all. So, yeah, we'll see. Thank you. You're welcome. Let's go back over here. We haven't done too much in the news stuff. So again, KOSPI got wrecked. SK Hynix really got wrecked. Pretty sure that took away anything that people made in the IPO with that drop as it hits here. I think that will. Stephen Mark Ryan said, hey, prove me wrong. There's no greater act of philanthropy in the U.S. right now than the Trump accounts. Max out Trump accounts for kids, as many as you can. So this just shows, I think this is 10% growth. It shows age 55. Contributing 0% a year, but putting 5,000 in, I think, out of the gate. I want to say, or is that just the original contribution? I don't know, but he's basically saying in here, and I'm sure the math is right, that if you put 5,000 in a newborn's account with zero more deposits ever, grows to 1 million by age 55, based on S&P historical returns of 10%. We've actually probably averaged around 11 for a couple of decades, at least the last 15 years. And I think that number is going to accelerate. I think 15, 20%, potentially 30% returns in a year can be heard of with the S&P in the future as growth occurs in AI and robotics over the next several years. It's going to get really crazy. It's just a matter of when. So I think that contributing to accounts is really going to be kind of brilliant until money doesn't matter anymore. And I think Elon, when he makes that statement, is off by like 10 years maybe. You got to remember, he is early sometimes. He's a brilliant man, but he's early. And so am I. I mean, not as brilliant, but early. This statement has been true for half a year. Note investors have more cash than they've ever had as well. So investors have record. We're going to look at another chart in a second, actually. I wish I would have had time to add it to this, but we'll look at it in a minute. Investors have had record equities, but what they've also had next in line is record cash positioning. And then what they had that didn't go up as much is record debt. It's so people are much richer than they are poorer based on debts, and that's going to be people in the markets that have benefited the most from that. So this says retail net flows plunge. Retail net flows at lowest since COVID. So you can see the money printer going burr, right? Everything was way down here, and then it went way fucking up here. I would say this is a buy the dip moment, honestly. This is like a flush out, kind of like what we're seeing with memory stocks and all this stuff right now, and probably just high beta today. I think it's a buy the dip opportunity. So we'll see how that goes. Who was talking about CapEx cuts? Meta's Louisiana data center investment to reach $50 billion, aided by generous tax incentives. So it says Meta's said the planned Hyperion data center supercluster in Richland Parish, Louisiana, will be a 5 gigawatt data center and cost $50 billion. That's higher than the $27 billion figure that they revealed in October when Meta and Blue Owl Capital formed a joint venture to help the build out and management of the facility. Meta and its hyperscaler rivals are taking advantage of tax rebates and energy deals being offered by states. So all this stuff is happening, not just within AI, but everything with manufacturing. Bitcoin sitting at 62,577 right now, guys. Let me see. It's after 7:30. Again, I don't think we really had. No, we don't have anything. Just a Bowman speech. So pretty boring stuff today. Trade Whisperer, again, he's kind of my semiconductor memory expert aficionado. He says patience, and I agree with him. You definitely want patience right now. Let's look at what else he said recently, because, again, his feed is golden. That's just a bunch of tickers. The KOSPI is cheaper than it was during the 2008 Great Financial Crisis. Let that sink in. That's a pretty big one, right? KOSPI price to estimated earnings. So this is not the kind of bubble that you see where everything is falling apart. And so when I talk about us maybe falling a little bit more on memory, this is kind of one of the key drivers that tells me that it's not going to be that far, because we're already at record cheap valuations. We're actually blowing away 2008. So the KOSPI has never been cheaper, is what it's trying to say. Never been cheaper. That's fucking crazy. I'm just going to put that. All right, let me just put that up there. Do a little one of these jobs. Post that thing. I think that looks good. All right. If you guys have any questions at all, throw them out. If a dip does happen, what do you think will be the trigger? War. The Japanese yen thing that we were talking about. Everybody has reasons. You just have to have the bears in control for a minute, right? If the bears are in control for a minute, we can see a further drop. The drop could literally just be this morning. And then we get some kind of news of a potential ceasefire. If you guys see that on X, let me know. Trade Whisperer, MK, Square Hynix, DRAM, the total HBM demand picture across all accelerator platforms is stacking higher every quarter. Demand is being booked out every quarter. I think 2027 is just already done. It's just done. And we're heading into 2028 now for locked-in demand. But let's listen to the AVGO, Broadcom CEO, making his recent comments. Demand for XPUs and networking is simply insatiable. During the quarter, bookings for AI semiconductors were over 30 billion against 10.18 billion we shipped. So a 3-to-1 ratio of the demand, the bookings versus what the supply is that they shipped out. In the second half of 2026, we expect AI semiconductor revenue to double from the first half. Insane. For the full year of 2026, we expect to achieve AI semiconductor revenue of $56 billion. We expect this momentum to continue to fiscal year 2027 and reiterate our AI semiconductor revenue guidance to be in excess of $100 billion for 2027, $26 billion for this year, significantly more than last year. These numbers are insane. I hope you guys all realize this. These numbers are very, very positive. Let's see, Hynix chairman Che Taiwan. It took us 9 years for us to create a cluster in Yanjin. Also, a chip factory requires massive land, power, water, and talent. 9 years, and somehow bears think supply will change overnight. Even if it takes 3 to 4, it's just not going to be enough because the demand is going to be so much greater by that time. So again, just another reason for me to be bullish. He's probably got more in here. Check him out. He's really great. James Lavish put, I repeat, the only solution that exists is to print more money. It's the U.S. national debt since the debt ceiling was raised by $5 trillion. And he's right. It is to print more money. Obviously, the biggest amount of this is only going back to July, so it doesn't really do it justice. But you can see where we're getting closer to trend. So we have slowed a little bit. It's going to the real economy. I think that's one thing people need to realize. I put, we're still hitting Iran this morning. Relentless. U.S. Navy and Air Force launched fresh operations against the IRGC, Bandar Abbas, and Keshem Island. I'm probably butchering that last one. Multiple ships and speedboats belonging to the IRGC Navy have been targeted. It's not just that, though, man. It's a lot more. Clarity Act. The U.S. House will hold a hearing on the Crypto Clarity Act Friday. So remember that. We're running out of time for the Save America Act. And I don't know if Lindsey Graham dying is helping that at all. I don't know what the voting looks like. I probably need to look at that today. But we're running out of time to get stuff done for the Save America Act, the Clarity Act, really everything. Housing bill end by default because the president isn't going to veto it. I would assume he would not veto Clarity Act either. But we'll see. He can surprise people. So we'll see. Friday, July 17th. It's time to get it done. It's going to be, shit or get off the pot is kind of where we're at. Marine traffic, it's been cut in half over the last couple of days. July with confirmed crossings down over 52% week on week. So again, we're making sure that things get out that we want to have get out and get in that we want to have get in. But as we're destroying like all these different island locations, we're destroying the bad guys and around them on the northern part, eastern part, western part, really everything across Iran. Oh, okay, cool. We'll check that in a second. You're going to see more and more crossings. We're bringing them through every night. They're turning off transponders and we're guiding them through with the military and we're making sure that nobody's near them. And if a rocket comes, we're going to blow it up. So we're helping with safe passage, and then some are just taking the risk. And they're going to have less firepower as days go on. So I'm not worried about it. I think all of this is good and that we're just going to keep going. I gotta reference this one. Democrats getting consumed by the DSA. You remember they want to abolish like the presidency and the Senate and all that stuff, right? They want complete control and to revamp and then they say, if you listen to their videos, that they're actually communists. So Democrats getting consumed by DSA, getting consumed by communists, getting consumed by Muslims. This is Iran. I mean, minus the DSA because it was given a different name. This is Iran. This is most of the Middle East, and that was my post. 95% of the countries in the Middle East that are 95% or more Muslim now went down paths like this where I shouldn't say all of them did. Some of them were literally like just destroyed by Islam out of the gate. But if they weren't destroyed by Islam out of the gate, they used the liberals to do their bidding. That same thing appears to be happening now. Not only, this isn't even Iran here, guys. We got strategy too. All right, quick segue. RHX, Strive acquired an additional 18 Bitcoin for 1.2 million on average cost of 64,000 per Bitcoin. All right, well, they could have got it a little cheaper this week, so people can make fun of them now like they do strategy. Kamawa, is this the final vote for the Clarity Act, or will there be a further vote? There's a very small window in August. So we'll see. RHX, strategy posts, strategy has increased the USD reserve by 450 million as of 7/12. We hodl 843,000 in our Bitcoin reserves and 3 billion in cash. Do you know how many months of reserve that is off the top of your head? I haven't been paying attention to the dollar amount. I want to say it gets us all the way through 2027 and into 2028, which would be a huge number. You can't fight that. Strategy hasn't really went anywhere. Strive is down 2%. Strategy is down 3.37. I do like that, though. Let me see how STRC getting a little bouncy today. I don't hate that. Let me pull these over. So we'll just look at this. So with the massive reserves now in strategy, you're getting a little bump on STRC. But again, this is way better than the 71 we were sitting at before. So this is looking strong. What you wouldn't want to see is have this thing go back down into the 70s. And even lower. That would be screaming like Luna type behavior or Voyager or some of these others that like just companies that died or chains that died. You don't want to see that. But if we get more consolidation up here and then test up here, it's a really good sign if that happens. And I think it's going to continue to go up. One sec here. Sorry, my daughter was taken off for camp today, so she's very excited about that. SATA, so this is even more beautiful. Look at how pristine the collateral looks like, or I shouldn't say collateral, but like you're getting that impression of pristine collateral from this one. Again, it's had the widening, it's been tested, but it comes back, and now we're sitting near the 100 moving average right on top of it. Once we get back and we start printing again on this, and again, I don't think they're going to wait at 100. They're going to wait even higher. They're going to let this thing get to 101 or 102, and then just fucking bring it down. And I think, I don't know, does anybody know if Strategy has officially adopted that strategy? Have they done that? Have they agreed that what Matt Cole has talked about, and Ben Workman and Jeff, all those guys over at Strive, have they agreed that don't set the limit at 100 and say it starts at 100, but we can really do it whenever? Because I think that's the smart way to be. Let this thing pump up a little bit and drive it back down. Now, again, there's a natural kind of incentive not to buy it over 100. But I could see during mass volume them letting that ride higher because, again, you want to hurt the shorts. You want to prevent them where if extra liquidity comes, they get fucked because it goes past their 100 level that they were expecting. 20.4 months. Wow. So, yeah, essentially all the way to 2028. That's really great. That's really great. That's not a bad number at all. Good job. January, like the end of January of 2028. That's really cool. So I think it's smart what they're doing with SATA, and I think STRC will probably end up implementing that. I don't know if they are already, but I think they'll probably agree that that's the right way to take it. All right, now jumping back over here. So we got Strategy out of the way and Strive out of the way. Ukraine, this isn't Iran. This is Ukraine. They are decimating Russia. And if you're Russian, I'm sorry, but you guys are losing this war. And I don't hate Russian people. I think Russian people are fucking great. I think Putin has been a horrific dictator for a long time, and I think Medvedev was literally just a pawn that was used for a short period of time to allow Putin to be able to take over again and then have ultimate control of the country. And I think that's the way it's been for a very long time. But I want to see Russia lose in that regard. I want to see Putin lose. But I like the Ukrainian people and Russians. I like both of them. I think the Russian people don't ever see the truth because of what's happened with their government, just like China. But they're seeing the truth now, motherfuckers. They're losing everything, and I don't think that's going to make them happy. There's the BIP 110. I don't care about any of it. It could hard fork. Bitcoin's resilient. A hard fork, just people end up deciding which one it's going to go with. Michael Saylor's saying, I don't give a shit about 110. I think we've got way more dangerous things to focus our attention on. Agreeing with Adam Back. I agree with both these guys. They're both heroes to me. So that's the way I'm going. And right now from the miners side, and again, there's some Bitcoin core developers who are all about this needing to happen. And they're saying the miners are going to flip and support it because of its design. Maybe that happens. I don't know. I don't even care from a technical level what happens to it. I've been around for many Bitcoin forks. I've been around for Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin. I think that we might have even had a silver. We had Bitcoin SV from the guy who was claiming to be Satoshi Nakamoto for a long time. We had so many. There's so many Bitcoin forks. I don't remember, like maybe 10 or more that happened. Hard forks where another chain is created. And what happens is the money doesn't go to the new chain, and the chain that everybody wants to use still exists. And so it's a duplication, and then one dies. And I was smart enough to sell my fucking Bitcoin Cash back when everybody said it was going to flip Bitcoin in 2017, and that was fucking awesome. That turned out really good. So ignore the noise. It doesn't matter at all. Back to the war side of things. The Hormuz letter, the U.S. has struck Karg Island's western jetty pumping station and multiple pipeline supplies. So what they've done here is kind of kill off the ability to easily be able to put some of this on additional ships and get it out. It makes it to where these things are just sitting here. We could probably take over the island and then get the oil off ourselves through additional equipment that we'd be able to bring in really quickly. They cannot. It would be a lot more work for them to do it. Oh, wait, let's read this, though. The fire shown NASA firms Karg Island are routine gas flaring from oil. So they're saying it didn't get hit. So maybe it didn't get hit. But I think that's a target we've talked about and one that I think we're still likely to hit if we have not hit it. EOL, Iran is currently attacking every country in the Middle East except for Israel. This is true, 100% true. They are not attacking Israel this time. And so I think that the reason they're not doing that is I think they're afraid of getting hit on multiple fronts. And you'll see by some of these explosions why. They know if they attack Israel, Israel will be over their skies immediately. Peace through strength. I agree with that. And they just don't, they're already getting hit so hard. and all their neighbors are turning on them, like the Yemens. Huge loss for IRGC, an ammunition and weapons storage facility. These explosions are massive, belonging to the Iranian people. Army 298 Brigade, destroyed by U.S. Army precision strike missiles. So we're starting to hit military bases and really where the Army stores their missiles. And so the Army has been something we've stayed away from. We've mostly been going after the IRGC. So this is good to see. Look at these explosions, though, guys. Look at this. Some of these... Oh, sorry. I hit the wrong button. Some of these look like mushroom clouds. Maybe not this one. But look at this. Look at the buildings here. These are like... Some of these are like 5, 6, 10 stories. Just crazy. You can see some other stuff blowing up on the side over here. Look at this. Like some other explosion. So these things have been massively powerful, and they're only getting more powerful. Like, look here, burning. U.S. has now destroyed Iran's military bases. At least 500 missiles have been locked and loaded. Now, this is over the last 5, 6 days, whatever it's been. But just look at these explosions, guys. Like, we're burning shit down. This is mushroom cloud shit. Like, is this... this might be Russia again. Russia's stabber up hole. So again, between both of them, it's just massive amounts of damage. 100% Jesse regarding controlling the air by the IDF. Yeah, they don't want them over. They don't want they don't want the Jews flying over their head. They know they're in trouble. And that's already something where Israel is very much focused on Hamas right now, and in Gaza and Hezbollah. That's their primary focus, but they don't want the eye of Israel turning on them. They've got enough problems. And if you look here, here's some of the attacks, but there's way more. Follow 2CTV if you don't. It's all over the place, but again, very centralized here too. Just getting rid of the fast boats, getting rid of the rocket launchers, getting rid of the radar systems, getting rid of missile, getting rid of everything that can touch us or that can assist in any way. And we've got Iran also getting some gifts from Russia and China in the last 24 hours. So we'll see how well those do, but I don't think they're going to do that well. President Trump announces the U.S. will likely run the Strait of Hormuz, and he expects America to be paid for it. That's funny. We had a deal. They always break it. We're just going to hit them very hard. If we end up running the Strait of Hormuz, that's actually fucking logistically probably brilliant. And I know he's talked about it before, but I would just look at it this way. This is my thought, at least, and tell me what you guys think in chat. It makes a ton of sense for us to be stationed in the Middle East as a deterrent for Russia or China to do anything stupid, because it gives us, we've got tons of military bases in the range. We're helping defend these guys against Iran right now. There's a pipeline we're working to build with, I think it's UAE and Saudi Arabia. It's like 500 miles long to even just surpass this completely. But I think it makes a ton of sense for us to be the toll booth, guaranteeing security in the region. And it's something that Iran would absolutely hate, and China would hate it, and Russia would hate it, but they can't do shit about it. They would hate to see America running the Strait of Hormuz and benefiting financially and have control over 20% of traffic. It's probably going to be like 15 or less. It's probably going to shrink, I would imagine, significantly. But it's a great choke point, and we've got so many other choke points. It's a great deterrent. I kind of like the idea. I like the idea. If nothing else, it's a narrative that Iran doesn't want to see, and it's a good talking point for us to say, hey guys, if you want to control the United Arab Emirates and these others and Oman and all these others around the strait, if you want to have some kind of coalition, you better build it. Otherwise, we're going to do it. And I think that's a lot of what Trump does. RJC, I don't always agree with him, but he's a smart guy, and he's crushed it. He was on the memory trade and got all this stuff with AI early, and so he's gotten very rich, probably surpassed me maybe. But he said Evercore raises SanDisk to 3,100 as new long-term agreements drive a new memory paradigm. So again, you've got SanDisk sitting at 1804 this morning, but you've got all this, and SanDisk has done really well. It's been one of the most resilient, sitting at a much higher forward PE. But I think the storage game, I mean, my God, guys, look at how much money you would have made. If you were in SanDisk from the bottom of April 1st of 2025, this is a depressing amount of money that makes me wish I would have invested in this. But 6,300 fucking percent is what you would have made from the tippity top bottom, or not top, tippity bottom, April 1st, April Fool's Day. If you would have owned, I don't know if that's the exact day because it's like the monthly, but if you would have owned this and bought it, you would have made 6,300%. That number is 64x. Wow. If you had $100,000, what is that? Is that 64 million? Oh my God, I don't even want to look at it anymore. This is making me sad. Let's move on. But yeah, so that's amazing. And I think SanDisk at 3,100, what will that be? What will those $100,000 at 3,100 guys would get you 113x your money, or I don't even want to talk about it. Anyway, that's just fucking nuts. All right, let's keep going. Let's see what's happening here. Oh, so yeah, guys, we never broke through. Bitcoin never broke through its level. Ethereum didn't break through its level. Solana didn't break through its level. So we're still just consolidating. Oh, the S&P. Let's look at indices here. The S&P is still in a breakout, even with all the shit that's happening. It could just be a back test. I actually think the S&P looks really good here. This is what you want to see. So I get that there's areas that are getting hit, like semiconductor, but even if we back tested here, this still looks good to me. You wouldn't want to see it roll over too much, but did we test that other high? Have we done a higher high? Let's just zoom in quite a bit here. We did a higher high. So I like this setup still with the S&P. I'm still bullish. Maybe today's the drop, guys. Maybe the news gets really good. Again, the oil market is barely up. I don't even know what it is. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. The oil market is not even at 74 right now. It looks like a point of indecision after spiking down really hard. If you can't get back up here to like the 75 or 70, 76 range, I'd be more bullish, and I'm not bullish on oil, but I would say it's the pattern looks more bullish, and it looks like it wants to test up at least until the 80 range if we can get above about 75, 76. And then again, the most likely thing, we could even see this go all the way up to 85. We'll see if it happens. If it doesn't happen, I would argue that is stupid bullish. Stupid bullish. Based on time cycles, today should be the low. I kind of agree with that. What do you mean by time cycles, though? What are you referencing? Just like some oscillation, or what time cycle are you referencing? Crypto Rover, breaking. U.S. House will host a hearing on the Crypto Clarity Act on Friday in just 5 days. We already talked about that. ETH BTC is pumping hard. I think this is true, guys. ETH BTC is pumping well. Let's see. Do we have a good... Let's see. Bitcoin. Oh, this is just Bitcoin to gold. Bitcoin to gold looks good too, though. I'm going to have to move so many charts back. But again, this was a great bottom, guys. Support, resistance, support, and now we're continuing to go higher. This is the Bitcoin to gold ratio. We called this as being a breakdown of head and shoulders, and that we were going to probably see further pain. But we found support. We overshot a little bit from over here. We found support. Wicked back above where this box is. You'll see that it's just wicks. And now we've got a higher low. And I don't think that's changing. I think Bitcoin's going to outperform. Everything tells me that. And the same thing with all the rest of this. What's the net bottleneck for AI? Probably energy. But the great thing about that is, let's say that you have problems with energy and you can't build that massive facility you want to do. What you're going to do is you're going to try and find energy somewhere else, energy in the U.S. or energy in foreign markets. And there's countries that need the money, and they'd be willing to build out more capex in their energy levels, especially third world. Think about the Shield of Americas. Think about Argentina. Think about El Salvador. Think about Peru. Think about Colombia. Think about Venezuela. Think about all of these countries. I forget who's to the east of Venezuela, but they evidently have a massive oil stockpile. All these other countries have an incentive to allow you to build a data center there and reap the rewards of that and build out energy infrastructure. So people look at it as just being a U.S. problem with energy, but I actually think they'll just fill that problem in the meantime by using energy from other countries around the world that are deemed to be friendly. I would argue the Americas are that, minus Canada and Mexico. Where's the best asymmetric play for energy? I don't know. You could say that, it's going to be the irons, the ciphers, whoever is the better bet out of that. I don't know who that is. CleanSpark has yet to prove itself. There's somebody here. I might have to go, guys. I hate to do this. I don't know if I said this already, but I have somebody coming to work on my house to fix my to do maintenance on the air conditioning, and then I've got plumbing issues. So I am going to have to go. I hate to do this, but hopefully you got some data points here for kind of what to expect this morning, and we will do it again real soon. I promise you. So I'm sorry to cut this one so short at 8 o'clock, but I have to. And I will be back Wednesday. You can also find me online. Peace out, guys. Take it easy. I hope you have a good day. Like I said, it's probably a good buy the dip day.